Is that okay? Here we go. Now I can tell. All right. Well, hello, everybody. Please do not mind my little raspy voice tonight. I am getting over a little bit of a cold, so I will do my best to kind of run through these announcements anyway. So, first things first, if you have not yet signed in, please make sure you do so I can get you a certificate of attendance if you do need one. Sign in is going to be right over there in the back of the sign in case anybody missed it. And just a couple of announcements, real quick. Our giving challenge is less than 6 weeks away. And so during that 24-hour online campaign, donations from $25 to $100 will be doubled. So sharing that with your community, family, friends, and even just sharing social media posts really helps to support Bridge of Life. So we would appreciate that so much. Um, Another thing that is included in the announcements email, the Early Learning Coalition of Sarasota County currently has child care financial assistance available. So if that's anything that can benefit anyone in this room, the link to the online application is in our follow-up email that you'll be receiving sometime before the end of tonight's presentation. Um, we also still do have scholarships available for all of the Florida Center trainings that they're offering. So if that's something that you're interested in, please check out the email for that as well. So tonight we have Jackie Hester with Parenting Matters joining us. Jackie is a parenting educator and TBRI practitioner, and she's going to be speaking with us about fostering a family culture of respect. So thank you so much for joining us, and we're excited to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I am just so glad to be here, and I love this setting, and I love that it's so small, so we can really just be chatting. This I think is my third time speaking for Bridge of Life, and every time I come back, I feel like I'm coming home. I started my career about 35 years ago working with foster parents in the state of Delaware. And honestly, I have a big heart for that. And my career continued onward and to this point where I actually work with post adoptive families at Parenting Matters. Before I start, I just want to give a give a shout out to Katrina, who's over there. Katrina just kind of waved. Yep, she's also with Parenting Matters. So she's a great person and a great resource to talk to about our program afterwards. After you're tired of hearing about from me, Katrina can talk to you. Anyway, so thank you for having me. I'm very excited to talk about a topic that actually I got from the parents that I work with. I kind of put it out there and said, "What's kind of weighing on your all's mind? What have you been thinking about?" And one of the things that they were telling me was that we've been thinking about how we see a rise of disrespect in so many of our kids today. And I don't know if that's something you guys have seen, but they really felt like what's happening and how can we get a hold of this and how can we do better in our homes to combat what's out there. So I thought about it and I thought about some of the things that I've seen, um, and some of those things that I've observed out there were when I'm talking to teachers. By the way, I'm also an educational advocate, so I do go into the schools and do the planning for our kids. But when I'm talking to teachers, a lot of the teachers were telling me that it's so hard to teach today. And it's hard to teach because the kids don't really want to learn what they're given, but when they ask them to learn, they say things like, "I don't have to do this," or even some of my teachers have said they've told them to shut up or even walk out of the classrooms. So it's really hard to be a teacher right now when you can't manage the behavior of the kids that are in your class. There was actually a survey that I read where they asked teachers, "Why are you quitting out of this beautiful profession?" And it wasn't for the money. It was because of the kids' behavior. They were actually leaving the teaching profession. Another thing that I was kind of seeing myself is that in my homes, the homes that I work in, families like yourselves, I was seeing a lot of disrespect related to electronics and cell phones. And we're gonna dive a little deeper into that. And I'm gonna talk more about that. But one of the things that really kind of bothers me is that our kids don't have good social communication skills because they're using these phones to communicate not person to person, but through this device. So kids are not, they're having very shallow conversations. They're not using salutations of goodbye and hello or using manners on the phone. So we'll talk about that and how that's linked to disrespect as well. The other thing that I was noticing on that is that manners seem to be eroding. What happened to those pleases and thank yous? And so many of the manners that we saw. I was actually in New York City visiting my son, and we were riding the subway. And something that I noticed that was just so horrible was that I was watching these teenagers jump onto the train, and they would quickly grab a seat, and they would put their heads down, watching their phone, and they had no idea what was going around them. And what would happen would be maybe an elderly person would get on the train or a lady who was pregnant who really needed to sit down. And these teenagers never offered them their seats. I actually told one, maybe you should let that lady have a seat. To his credit, he did get up and do that, so that was a good thing. So I'm seeing this, and how many of you are seeing some of the things that I'm seeing? Just yeah, yeah. And so I kind of thought, okay, this is a good topic. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about where the messages are coming from. And so some of the places that I'm seeing disrespect coming from, okay, the rise in disrespect is just what we call family movies. Families are going to movies and they're considered family movies, but in these movies, things like in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the kids are calling their parents dorks, okay? Even one movie is one thing, but when kids are getting that same message over and over again, it's building disrespect. Another place I'm seeing it is in books. How many of you know Ivy and Bean? Have you? Oh, yes. So I was giving these books out. I was getting them from ELC and giving them out to all my little 6 and 7 year olds because the theme of the book is really amazing. It's two little girls who are very different who become friends. However, one day I opened the book and I just randomly read a chapter. And when I read the chapter, I realized these two little girls got into a lot of mischief, which, okay. However, they were also very disrespectful to their babysitters and their parents, even calling their dad dude and licking food off their plate, not using utensils. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm giving these books to 6 and 7 year olds. What am I teaching them? I didn't know that. And I'm sure a lot of you don't know that. Okay, another place that I'm seeing disrespect. How many of you have have kids in sports? Yep, yep, yep. So my kids were in sports. My babies are 27 and 29. But I am seeing something that we should not be seeing. I am seeing parents who are being taken out of football games because they're yelling at the coaches and the referees. My daughter was in cheerleading, and the coaches banned all parents from coming to practices because the moms were so disrespectful. They were talking about the girls' body types as well as these little girls' hair. So disrespect is all over. One of the things that we see is parents who are behaving disrespectfully in sporting events, but we're seeing kids who are also doing it. My son, after tennis matches, were had to go and shake his opponent's hand and wish him good game, win or lose. I'm watching that, and we're still shaking our opponent's hands, but some kids turn their backs. They don't shake their opponent's hand. And what's even worse is parents are not enforcing that. So disrespect is all over the place, and we need to talk about it. So here's some of the things that I kind of wrote down. What is disrespectful behaviors? So these are some of the basic ones. Anybody want to just kind of yell out a couple more that you're seeing in your homes? We got ignoring, refusing, interrupting, making fun of others. Anything? These are some of the big ones. Refusing eye contact, not looking at someone when you're speaking. Okay, thank you. Anything else? Name calling. So disrespect is actually being hurtful, offending someone. That's disrespectful behavior. The intent of the behavior is actually to hurt. Disrespect is not a kid who is going through a developmental stage and pushes back for autonomy. Although their behavior that they use to push back can look disrespectful. Okay. So, what do I want to talk about? I don't want to keep talking about what our kids are doing and what's happening, because I think we all can agree that there looks like there's a rise in disrespectful behavior. It's going up this way when we want it to go down this way. So I thought, you know what, instead of labeling kids disrespectful, I want to talk about the environment out there that is actually creating some of this disrespect. But more importantly, I want to talk about the environment in our homes that can combat that. So I'm going to actually talk about how to foster respect in our homes so that when our kids go out there, they're not doing some of the things that we're seeing. Um, so, all right, here's our ducks. You guys have little ducks on your table. Please take some on your way out. So, the first thing that I need to talk about is that I'm seeing five different things, five characteristics in homes that are consistent. And in these homes, when I see these characteristics, I can go in there and know that these kids are probably going to engage in more respectful behaviors than other kids. And I want to tell you about these characteristics because they're really important. Because if you're practicing these things in your home, then you're doing a really good job in helping kids to be more respectful. So the five things we're going to talk about is parents modeling respect, family focused homes, parent led homes, low to no tech homes. Uh-oh. And value driven homes. So we're going to go through each of them and we're going to do a little dive into them and how these homes actually grow respectful kids. So the first thing we want to talk about is homes where parents model respect. And that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Um, Anybody read the book Scream Free Parenting? Anybody know that book? It's an oldie. It's a good one. It was actually published in about 2007 and then it was rewritten. And the book has this amazing message. And the message in the book is that the greatest gift we can give our children is to calm ourselves. Isn't that what we've been teaching in TBRI? That if parents are calm and they can emotionally regulate themselves, then they're modeling that behavior for kids. How many of you have ever looked in the mirror or on your Ring camera when you were angry at your kids and looked at yourself? Have you ever seen yourself when you were angry? Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I tell parents, next time you're really angry at your kids, hopefully you'll step back and calm yourself. But in that moment, take a look at yourself in the mirror. It can look really scary at times. All right. Parents who model respect in the households understand how they are talking to others and how they are talking about other people. So let me give you a little example of what happened just a couple weeks ago. I was working with a family and the mom got a call from the school that her little 10-year-old was trying to be silly in the classroom, probably trying to get attention from his peers. So he falls off his chair and he's rolling around the floor. And the teacher calls the mom and says, "Not cool. We need to talk about this behavior." So I come to the house just about the time the mom gets off the phone, and our little 10-year-old's over there playing on his iPad. And the mom's telling me about what happened. And then the conversation or her monologue and telling me starts changing. She's saying, "You know what? This whole thing is the teacher's fault. She doesn't know how to manage this classroom. She doesn't even know how to teach math." And guess what I see? The kid's eyes grow really big. And he's amening it. He's like, "You're right, mom. This teacher doesn't know anything." And they've become allies against the teacher. So you know what? After that, I took the mom aside without the kid, and I said, "What do you think that your little guy there? Do you think he's going to be respectful tomorrow in the classroom to that teacher?" Hmm. I think she got the idea that I have to be careful about how I'm talking about people out there. How we talk about people is how we model respect. All right, we're going to do a little exercise. Let me get it. There we go. We're going to do a little parent reflection exercise. I do these with parents all the time in parenting sessions where I want them to kind of self reflect through questions. I'm not going to give advice, I'm just going to give questions. And if you're not eating or actively eating, or you can take a minute, grab a piece of scrap paper. I have it on the table, and I'm going to have you answer these questions. And guess what? They're only for yourself. You don't have to show anybody the answer. But I hope you'll use these questions as guides to maybe what you can work on. So when you're ready, just number it 1 to 4. Okay. First question. Is everybody ready? Okay. Do you stay calm under stress? Answer it as you see yourself. Maybe you'll say, most of the time, some of the time, never. Okay. Okay. Second question. Do you apologize when you make mistakes? See, when our little ones make mistakes, they have to know it's okay. And when we apologize for our own mistakes, we let them know that mistakes are natural and it's okay to be made, and we're going to show you how to make it right. Okay. Third question. Do you listen before you respond? Are you one of those parents who sit back and go, that's interesting. We'll talk later. Or are you one of those parents who say, wait a minute, that kind of thing? And number 4, do you understand the impact of your words? What words do to our little ones, especially? All right. So you're going to give yourself a grade. You're going to take those questions and you're going to do what you need to do with them. Here's something to just remember. When I go into homes, I tell parents my grade that I give you is based only on 2 things. The first thing is, did you do better today than you did yesterday as a parent? Number 2, are you willing to do better tomorrow than you did today? If you say yes to both of them, I give you an A. Okay. All right. So the first thing that builds these wonderful, respectful homes is parent modeling. The second thing is family focused homes versus individual focused or child centered homes. So a couple of years ago, we kind of shifted our homes to be from family focused to child focused. And in that shift, and let me just first say this, I think parents made this shift because they love their kids and they wanted to do better. And so that was the goal. That was the outcome. However, when they did do this shift, what happened was that parents were spending more time focused on kids' activities, um, what kids need, kids' friends, shuffling from place to place. And what was happening is it was overshadowing the time families spent together. Now, with child focused homes, parents were overindulging kids as well. They were buying them things like really expensive sporting equipment and really high-tech tennis sneakers and things like that. In addition, the word no was not ever being said anymore. Now, I'm a big believer you need to say more yeses than nos, but when you need to say no, you need to say no. And you need to mean it, and you need to use it in a really smart and appropriate way. So I think we're moving back to that family focused model again. And so let's talk about family focused homes. So, family focused homes are families first. The family is the priority, not any individual child or any individual in the home. The second thing is family meals. We kind of lost that down the stream somewhere. So before I get to the next slide, I want to ask you, by show of hands, how many of you in the last 7 days had a family meal without electronics or telephones or television with your child? One family meal. Just raise your hand. Keep your hands up. That's awesome. How many of you had 2? Raise your hand or put your hand back up. Nice job, guys. How many had 3? Beautiful. 4, 5, 6, 7. Well done. So, let me tell you why it's so well done. A survey on 26,000 adolescents were posed the same question. In the last 7 days, how many days have you had a meal with your parent? Guess what? Kids who had more meals with their parents, who sat down without the phones and all this kind of stuff, were happier kids. They were healthier kids. They were more social kids. They had better communication skills. They were more respectful kids. And this is the crazy thing. So, with every additional meal, kids' behavior improved. So, maybe you had 6 meals last week, but this week you had 7 meals. And week, their behavior actually was better and they were happier. If I say nothing else tonight, take that as your gold nugget. If you can only have just 1 meal a week, you're doing better than not having any. If you can have 7, more power to you. That's fantastic. So, family meals are really important. All right. Family family focused homes have family rituals. So, what's a family ritual? It's something that families do together that they can count on. And it also brings security to kids. It anchors them into the family. It brings a sense of belonging, connection. I love this family ritual that is in the book Knots on a Counting Rope. Has anyone heard of the book? Oh, it's beautiful. So it's about it's about an American Indian culture where the grandfather, the family ritual is it's called a courage ritual. And the grandfather gives the grandson a rope. And he says to the grandson, every time you do something brave and courageous, please tie a knot on that rope. That's their family ritual. What a beautiful way to pass down courage to his grandson. I want you guys to take a minute and I want you to go ahead, take a scrap paper, and maybe write down a family ritual that you guys do in your family. And I'm going to ask some of you if you like to share those. When you're ready, look up and I'll see if you want to come up here. And you have to come up here only because for those at home, for them to hear you and see you, we're streaming, they'll be able to hear what you say. So if you're brave enough to come up here. Okay. Seeing just a few more writing. All right. Would anyone like to come up and share one of their family rituals? Just come on up. Sure, come on up. And if you want to just come on up. I don't even have to ask you. Just come on up, and I'm going to hand you the mic. Tell us about your family ritual. And your name, too. Go ahead.
I'm Renee Lenneman. Actually, this is a ritual that I learned here, I believe, and it is the highs and lows at dinner time. So everybody goes around and says like the high point of their day or something great that happened, and then something low or something they were not happy about. And everybody can pass if they want to, but they usually don't, and sometimes they have more than one. And if we skip that, they remind me we need to do our highs and lows. So that's
Thank you. And that is such a great ritual. It gets kids talking. It gets kids doing some perspective taking because they're listening about each other. And I love what you said that they if you miss it, they want it to happen because that anchors them in security. Would anyone else like to share their ritual and come on up? Everybody? I'm sure there's some out there. I'll tell you one of mine. I eat, and please come up. Every Sunday for my entire whatever, many years, I cook pancakes and bacon on Sunday morning. By the way, I'm vegetarian. I don't even eat the bacon. Um, but I cook it every Sunday morning. My kids don't even live at home anymore, and I still cook it for my husband. But when they do come home, they know they're going to smell bacon on Sunday morning. Okay, give me yours, and please say your name.
I'm Garrett, and every night we have our son basically pick out a book for me, my wife, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law. So he actually goes and chooses them, and then we read the stories to him before he goes to bed. So it's
That's great. What's his favorite story?
that is an impossible. I don't think he has one.
He just likes them all.
He likes them all.
I love that. And so that brings him security, reading with his family members. And also you're promoting reading in such a wonderful way. Oh, hi.
I'm Bob. We have a 10-year-old. I'm sorry, he's almost 10. And he's an avid reader, but we have the uh, every evening when he goes to bed, he knows if he goes to bed, we'll come down and lay in bed with him and read, so he can kind of lay down and relax while we read. And it's his favorite time of the evening. He just loves to hear people read. And the other thing that me and him do is Saturday mornings, brought my back my memory, is he loves pancakes and bacon. And so Saturday mornings is when he helps me make the pancakes and bacon. And so he usually gets the bacon ready, and I stir up the batter for the pancakes, or Ina does, and then we make the pancakes. And he loves to invite our grandkids live on the same property, and so he's always calling them to come in and have pancakes with us. So on that.
Thank you for sharing that. And so many rituals are around food. Have you ever noticed that? Sitting around a table, making food together. It's a really cool way to connect with our kids and to bring them to a point of security. So thank you for sharing those. Okay, so family focused homes. Oops, it looks like, did we lose my little? We're going to take a second here to get my, did I do something? Oh, oh, it made it timed out. Gotcha. The third thing we're going to talk about is parent-led homes. And so, what does that mean? Parent-led homes. Doesn't every parent leave their home? Well, no. So, one of the first questions I ask kids that I work with when I go into the home is I'll get down real low and I'll say, tell me who's in charge here. And lots of kids will give me the right answer, mommy and daddy, or grandma and grandpa. The wrong answer is I'm in charge. So a home that where the child is in charge is a home that nobody's in charge. So what we're looking at is parent-led homes. And parent-led homes, the parenting style that we find that works very well is the authoritative parenting style. Do you guys know the different parenting styles? Kind of heard about them? I'm going to give you like a 2-minute or less lesson in parenting styles. There's 3 core parenting styles. The authoritarian parenting style, which is what we would call the very strict, firm disciplinarians. And the discipline is focused more towards punitive discipline. Kids don't have a lot of voice in those homes. Parents pretty much make the rules. It's kind of used to be called the my way or the highway kind of home. All right. Tell me, do you think those homes breed respect? Anybody? So, in those homes, you may see in the beginning kids are pretty respectful. However, as kids grow, what happens is we see a lot of rebellion and disrespectful behavior. Part of that is because there's not a lot of emotional security in the home when parents are just telling kids what to do versus helping them to learn how to do things. Okay, on the opposite end, we see the very permissive homes. The permissive homes are where there's not a whole lot of rules. Nobody really knows who's running the household. The parents elevate the kids up to friend level, and a lot of times there's no no's or, what there's no guidance in those homes. So tell me, do you think those homes generate a lot of respect? No. Tell me why. Anybody want to tell me why? Spoiled. Entitled. Insecure. Good. Those kids feel absolutely very insecure. They don't know how to conduct themselves. They become very frustrated when they're out there and they see their friends who have parameters and boundaries and they don't. So we see a lot of disrespect there. The homes that we see the most respect are the authoritative homes. Those are where parents actually, there are clear rules and guidelines and clear consequences for when those rules are not followed. However, they're very logical and fair. These parents give kids voices and they hear their children's voices, but they always make the final decision. Kids feel really secure in these types of homes. And in an authoritative home, the kids are much more respectful. So in a parent-led home, authoritative parenting styles work really well to promote respect. All right. The other thing we find in parent-led homes is parents consider development, readiness versus age. If you do TBRI, we call it development versus chronological age. Developmental age versus chronological age. I'm seeing some people who know what I'm talking about. And when kids are encouraged to be kids and not to move too quickly to develop, to grow up, they do much better. When kids are expected to grow up too quickly, we actually see more disrespect. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is our little babies, our kindergarteners. Okay? So, years ago, kindergarten was a time where kids learned about the golden rule, and I'll tell you a little more about that. But with all that's occurred years later, with on the cuff of No Child Left Behind and Common Core standards, what happens is teachers are being asked to teach kindergarteners things that they're not necessarily, not all of them are ready for. Some kindergartens are just not ready to learn how to read yet. Probably by the end of kindergarten, they'll be in that process. But when they get in those first couple of days, they're probably not there. Some kindergarteners can't write their name yet. They're not developmentally ready. And what are we doing to these kids to get them to a place where we think they're supposed to be? We're overshadowing things that they need to learn. The things they need to learn are all the things that they need to know for life. Has anyone ever read the book, All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten? You guys know that book? It's an amazing book. So here's some of the things that kids should learn in kindergarten. They should learn how to share. They should learn how to play fair. They should learn don't hit people. They should learn to put things back where they found them. Clean up your own mess. Don't take things that aren't yours. Say you're sorry when you hurt somebody. Wash your hands. Take a nap every afternoon. Yeah. And when you go outside, stick together and hold hands. You know what? What happens if our babies are so busy being pushed to learn things that they're not ready for that they don't get to learn those things? What do we have 10 years from now or 20 years from now? We have adults who don't play fair. We have adults who don't share. We have adults who make messes and don't clean them up. So stop. Don't push your kids into a place they're not ready for. Like the quote says, when the acorn is cracked too early, the tree does not grow strong. All right. So we've gone through three things that are important in promoting respect in the home. Okay? Parent modeling, family focused, parent led. The third thing, here we go. Tech-free homes. Uh-oh. I just said tech-free. Does anyone in here have a tech-free home? No phone, no electronics. Yeah, most homes don't. And so when I talk to parents, I'm really talking about a lower tech home. Yeah, finding a balance where kids and parents are not using technology continuously. How many of you have seen your kids' moods and personalities change when they're on video games too long? Anybody? Yeah. What have you seen? I'm curious. In their mood or personality? Correct. Yep. Emotional outburst. Yeah. And that's what we're seeing. You're absolutely right. We are seeing kids who we never thought would be aggressive become aggressive when they are asked to get off their video games or when they're asked to give their phones to their parents. The author of Glow Kids, have any of you read the book Glow Kids? Okay. So this book is on technology addiction. It's a really scary book because what the book talks about is what we're doing to our kids' brains. When we are letting kids play hours and hours on video games and girls on social media for hours and hours, what are we doing to the brains of these kids? So in the book, it states that a kid's brain on technology looks like a kid's brain on drugs. So it's really important to think about when we hand that child that control for the video game, or when we hand our child the phone, what are we actually doing? we're actually creating kids who are more disrespectful, who have more outbursts, who have lower frustration levels. Yeah. How many of you have had daughters who were bullied through social media? Anybody? Or have heard about girls being bullied in social media? Yeah, you have. Okay. How many of you have had a kid on a game and had a predator um, actually try to connect with your kid through the game, or have heard about that? Anybody? It's scary. It's really scary. I'm going to tell you a little story. I was in Tallahassee 2 months ago for the opening of the session of Congress, and I got to meet our Attorney General in the state of Florida. Very cool dude. So I got to talk to him, and I asked him a very important question. I said, "Listen, I work with parents, and what is the one thing you would recommend to my parents to keep their kids safe?" And his answer was, get them off of roadblocks. If your child, he told me, is on roadblocks, then they are going to probably be approached by a predator at some point. So just know that. And this came from the guy who's actually prosecuting these people. All right, technology, scared stuff. All right, so how technology contributes to disrespect. We just kind of talked about that. Um, yeah, cyberbullying. Children showing disrespect to their authority figures, like their parents, when they're asked to give up that control. All right. All right. Give your kids what technology can't give them. What is that? What does technology not give our children? Us. Us. We need to give our kids our time, our presence. What we're giving our kids is a phone to babysit them. Some people. I'm not saying you guys are. Okay? Yeah. So let's look at some of these. Parents on phones are less sensitive and responsive to their child's bid for attention. So this is an interesting one. What we find is that parents who are on their phone, who are repeatedly on their phone, and their kids are seeing it, we see more disrespectful little ones because they're trying to get their parents' attention. And parents will tell me, they are always interrupting me when I'm on my phone. And what I say to them is, no, 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 they're trying to connect with you. They're seeking your attention. They want you. One of the saddest things I see when I'm at schools, sometimes I get stuck at the school when the parent drop off and pick up happens. Um, and I see parents who are picking up their kids and walking up to pick their kids up. And I see these little ones, and they're like little first graders or kindergarteners, and they're waiting so patiently for their mommy or daddy to come and get them after a long day of school. And I always know when their mom or dad gets closer because they get so excited. Their eyes get really big, and they're ready to just run to their mommy and daddy, and they do that. And what I see more than I should ever see is moms who say, "Wait, I'm on the phone." That mom in that moment missed that moment of that hug to greet their child after school because she was on that phone. And you know what? How many hugs do our parents miss because they're using technology, why their kids need them? All right. All right. Tech free homes. So here's something. Parents who took handheld electronic away from their children report a significant decrease in problem behaviors, reduction of tantrums, decrease in physical and verbal aggression, and all the other things. That's a statistic or quote. I'll give you a real live example. I was working with a family, and the parents decided we're going tech free. They had it. The kids were on these video games. They were having a really hard time with behavior. They weren't doing schoolwork, and they said, "Can you help us?" I said, "Sure, let's try it. What you know what's the worst that can happen?" So the parents said, "Okay, we're going to no longer do video games in the home." The boys didn't have phones, but it was the video games, and the boys didn't like that. They were not real happy about it when the parents announced that new day, our family is not going to have video games. And so the first 2 weeks were horrible. These boys complained, and their life was miserable and da da da. But guess what? The first month, after the first month, these boys started going outside, and they were riding bikes, and they were making friends in the neighborhood. and they were kicking a soccer ball. They were doing things that they hadn't done for years. The second month, they were stellar students in the classroom. It was crazy. The third month, they were the best readers in the school. I'm telling you, what happened by just taking these video games away, these parents got back their boys. And I promise you, I saw these boys throughout this whole time. And I will tell you what totally amazed me is after the first month, I didn't have to go look for the boys to kind of participate in whatever family activity we were doing. The boys met me at my car and said, "What are we doing today? Are we playing a board game?" And then they helped carry my stuff inside without me asking. And they opened the door. They showed manners and they said goodbye and hello and thank you. This was all because of one thing. Their parents made the decision to opt out of video games in their home. Something to think about. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just giving you some things to think about. If you want to build a respectful home, these are some of the things to do. Okay, what is a tech-free? What are some ways to do this? So if we want to reduce tech in a home, some of our leading experts, has anybody read The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt? Anybody? Okay. So it's a really interesting book. He's actually kind of doing some revising of it. I just saw him speak on one of those news programs. But he suggests that no social media before the age of 16. Okay? I don't know. Send your kids to schools that have phone-free policies. I think a lot of our schools are getting there. One of the things that I know is there's communities of parents who are talking about no phone till the 8th. Okay, not any phones till the 8th grade. Okay, Erin Lochner, she's the author of Opt Out Family. I actually saw her speak. She's an amazing speaker. Her family decided to opt out of all technology. That was a big thing. They decided no phones, no video games, any of those things. One of the ways that they did that is to find a community of parents who were also doing that. There are community of parents who do opt out of technology, and it's easier for the kids when they are experiencing other kids' families who are also doing the same thing. Here's my favorite one. If you want to shift the environment in your home, okay, go from phone-based to play-based homes. Go to outside play-based homes. Send your kids outside. It's such an easy thing. And if your kids are playing outside, I promise you, they're going to be less disrespectful. Simple stuff. All right. Now, our last piece, and this is really important. So, homes that I work with that I see that work really well in reducing disrespect in the homes are homes where they are value-driven homes. They have missions, whatever those missions are. So we have a parenting manifesto here done by Brene Brown. Brene Brown is an author and a speaker, and she speaks a lot about shame and vulnerability. But one of the things that she has created was a parenting manifesto. And things that she had said in her manifesto were, "You will learn that you are worthy of love, belonging, and joy every time you see me practice self-compassion and embrace my own imperfections." That's part of her parenting manifesto. The parents that I work with, I also work with building parenting and family mantras. And what that is typically a one line that states, this is what our family stands for. And I have families do it together with their kids. And it's built over time. It's what do we stand for? See, when kids know what we stand for, we stand together. When they don't know what we stand for in homes, they stand alone. And we see disrespect and externalizing behaviors that we don't want to see. So family mantras that are created by families are what families are anchored to. So here's some family mantras, okay? Here's one. We may not have it together, but we have it all. Here's another one. We create our own destiny. We are broken crayons that still color. Isn't that great? We make mistakes and we learn from them. And this has always been my favorite one. This was a family I worked with for, about 5 years. We are a family whose socks don't match. We work really hard on being okay and being imperfect. So, you guys are going to get to do a little work tonight. You're going to create a one-line mantra to begin with. Of course, this is not going to be your family mantra because your kids are not here, and you have to do it with your kids. But let's start working on one. So grab a piece of paper, and if you're here with your spouse, you guys should be talking about that. What does your family stand for? And I'm sure hoping some of you will come and share. So take a few minutes, work on your family mantra. We'll go from there. Anyone need any help or bounce ideas off? Trina's going to kind of check in with you guys, and if you want to bounce an idea off, she'll come on over. Oh. Oh, was it dying when I was talking? Am I okay with using it? So Katrina's going to check in with your table if you want to bounce an idea off of her or she's there. And we'll take a couple more minutes and see what you guys have created. By the way, some of my families make family shields to put their mantra in. You do? Oh, I can't wait to hear yours then. Hold on. They frame them. They put them up on their doors. It's great. All right, as you're still I know some people are still thinking, but maybe some would like to share and come up here and share their mantra. All right. We have a brave family who's going to give us something. Is this one that you've made before you even came here? Yeah. Oh, I love it. Okay, tell us about it, where it is in your home and everything.
My name is Rob Lursey, and we're actually getting it printed this week. We just made it from, what is that book? Can't think of the name. Justin Early, Habits of the Household.
Oh, nice.
And so it's like he studied at a monastery and talked about like a way of life and a way of living for the family. So ours is more of like a mission statement, but we practice it each night together. So it starts off, and we tell our kids and our bonus kids through foster care. So as long as you're in this house, you're a bonus Lursey. So we say, who are we? We are Lurseys. And I say, Lurseys are what? And it's Lurseys are lovers of God and others, leaders in virtue, and laborers for the kingdom. And then the best use of AI that you can do is you put that in there and you tell it what you like and what you want it, and it spits it out for you. So yeah, we go in and we define those things and talk about that. But then when we're correcting, we talk about we're leaders in virtue, which means we practice self-control and kindness and things like that. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love it. And I love that you're going to print it off, and oh, that's beautiful. Go take a second, and if you don't mind, show everybody. This is pretty amazing. I love it. And how proud your kids must feel to be in your family. Yeah. 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 It's super awesome. Yeah. I love that. And when your kids forget what we stand for, it's up there. It's up there. All right, who else would like to share? All right, come on up and please say your name. Okay, we got another one. Thank you for sharing. Okay.
Hello. I'm Tiffany Talcott. That's my husband, Hunter. And this quote was inspired by Hunter's grandfather. Years ago, he used to say it to him when he was a child, and he's now passed away. So we have a little plaque in our home. And the phrase is, no guts, no glory. So basically, you have to put yourself out there. You can't be afraid to, or intimidated. You just have to go for it.
Wow. And what an incredible thing to have something that passed down from generation to generation. That's really great. Okay, who else would like to come and share their mantra? Come on, I know there's some in there. Anybody? Yeah. And again, this is a work in progress. We're not looking for perfection, just process. We got one over here? Awesome. Okay, and your name too.
My name is Steve. My wife Cindy. This is something you guys will know because it's a movie that we all watched as little kids. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's Thumper's rule. So we always make sure there's an encouraging word, not a negative word. So if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all.
Oh, I love that. That's an oldie but a goodie. And you know what? Isn't that great? Okay. It's okay. I love it. To be an encourager. Mm-hmm. Mm. And I love that. And you know what's so amazing? You're sending your child out with something that prepares him for life. These mantras, they follow these children, and they can feel secure knowing that I'm prepared. I love that. Okay, anybody else would like to share their mantra? Anyone? Tina, come on. I love it. All right. There we go. Just be careful not to trip. Okay, you can stand right there, Tina.
I would be the one who would fall.
Okay.
So in our home, we're all girls, so it's just me and my 3 daughters. So I guess I didn't really consider it a mantra, but I always say we're the house of the girl power. So because it's just all girls and we are surviving on our own, so it's wonderful. There we go.
I love it. Girl power. Yeah, that's awesome. Anybody else? I'm not certainly this is voluntary, but so thank you for sharing those because those were really good mantras. And I hope that one of the things you'll go home and do is create a family mantra. And you'll post it and maybe do the AI stuff with it and it'll be amazing. And your kids, I promise you, this will follow them through their life. It's going to be part of their internal voice, the voice that they hear inside of their head. By the way, that voice is what guides children. And I sure hope that voice is your voice, not the voice of outside peers and other influences. Your voice has to be that strong voice, and those mantras can be part of it. Okay, so little story for the end. I told you that I started my career 35 years ago in the state of Delaware, working with foster parents. Super amazing experience. One of my absolute favorite foster parents was also a person I felt taught me the most things. I have lots of degrees and lots of certifications, but they all pale in comparison to the things she taught me. She was 75 years old when I was 25 working with her. And I honestly, I didn't have anything to give her. She just gave me stuff. She gave me really cool stuff to learn. And her name was Miss Betty. She was 4'11". She lived in this little home that probably only had 2 bedrooms, but back there 35 years ago, nobody cared if you had 3 kids in a bedroom. It was just a little different. But she was one of those foster parents, when we brought kids to her in the middle of the night, she always had a tall glass of milk and homemade chocolate cake waiting for that child. It was amazing. I don't know how she always had homemade cake. But Miss Betty, the kids in her home, for some reason, were super respectful. I don't know what she did, but I asked her, how are these kids so respectful? I would come up on the porch and their shoes would all be lined up outside the door. Sometimes I would get to come over for dinner, chicken and dumplings on Sunday, and nobody ate until Miss Betty sat down and prayers were said. It was really this incredibly respectful, beautiful home, from a 4-year-old to the 14-year-old boy who nobody else wanted. She had him in her home. So I asked her, what do you do, Miss Betty? Why are these kids so respectful? And what she told me is because she knew that when the kids came to her, they were coming at the worst time in their life, and they needed her to be her best. They also needed her to love them the most at this time in their life. She would tell each child, when they would come into her home, she would say to them, you deserve to be loved, and you deserve to be treated with respect. And that is what I'm going to do. And she did. She modeled respect to these children every single day, and they responded back with respect to her. So she followed that golden rule. Treat others as you wish to be treated. And I promise you, if we teach our kids these rules in life, they will be much more respectful. Thank you. I really love coming here. I hope you'll have me back another day. Maybe it'll be a 4th time next time. And yeah, yes. Yes. Oh, I'm loud. I once heard from, and it may be somebody in this room, but I heard from someone who heard from someone that you know that a placement's coming, go chocolate. Yeah. No. No. I love that. Anyway, thank you guys. If you have questions about Parenting Matters, which is the agency that both Katrina and I work with, we're both parenting educators, as well as I do educational advocate for my families. Please come up. We'll be here as you're exiting, and we'll be glad to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie. That was awesome. And we would absolutely love to have you again, of course. It is always nice having you guys here. So, real quick, we are finished up a little early, so feel free to take your time, hang out for a little. We have to go boxes and plenty of leftover food. And then also, if you checked that you did, in fact, need a certificate of attendance tonight, those are on the back table where you signed in, and they'll have your names on them. So thank you so much for being here, and please take your time because the kiddos are set until 8. So